Leslie here with Parenting Paused, another week to explore and to examine some of our conditioned beliefs around parenting, around relationship. And one of the ones I hear the most difficulty in challenging or examining are boundaries. Now, we are told that children need limits and boundaries. This is a really strong parenting dictate that we will often hear. And unfortunately, I heard that gave me permission to bind my daughter, which was to control her and to tell her what to do and what not to do. And I started examining this because, of course, that didn't work real well in my home. And I started realizing that healthy boundaries are for me. They're not to control the other, which means they were not to control my daughter's behavior so that I would be okay. That was asking her to take care of me. That meant that I felt like or positioned myself as a victim to her behavior, and that I was actually acting as if I could not take care of myself. So it became very clear for me that my definition of healthy boundaries is what's okay with me and what's not okay with me about how I treat myself. Now, as a young child or as a girl child growing up in the South, I was not actually taught how to be effectively selfish and to take care of myself very well. I was taught to take care of others, to love others, to be kind to others, to be generous to others, to do what others wanted me to do. But anytime that I set a healthy boundary and I said, that's not okay with me, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to walk out, or I'm not going to stand here and listen, then I would be punished or consequenced or told that I was rude or mean, disrespectful, selfish. So I got very confused about what does this mean to set a healthy boundary? And I got trained to think that boundaries were about trying to get the other person to behave differently toward me. Now, you might have too, and we've talked about this topic a lot, even on the podcast, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper and give you some examples, because folks are always like, please, Leslie, give me examples. They help, right? So one of the big ones that I hear is hitting. Now, I had a hitter. My daughter was a hitter. And so what we want to talk about is people would always say to me, tell her she can't hit, she can't do that. And that would be like trying to bind her. And I was like, but she just did. She did hit. So it's not a boundary to tell her what she can or can't do, meaning you can't hit, we don't hit. That's not a personal boundary. The boundary is, how am I taking care of myself? So the boundary might be, if I'm about to be hit, I'm going to move my body away and take care of it, right? Because how do I treat myself? Am I okay standing there and being hit? No. Well, I can try to stop her from hitting me, but it never really worked. Or I can say, hey, if you can't stop hitting me right now, or if you're going to come hitting me, I'm going to move away here and take care of my body. So that became my personal boundary. And what I started noticing was, my daughter, even her hitting was a way she was trying to connect. Because someone that hits you, they're trying to connect with you. It's much harder when a kid withdraws love and runs out of the room and goes to their room and closes the door. So when I got very clear, like I could even say to my daughter, I know you're trying to connect with me. And if you can't stop hitting me, which I didn't know if she could or couldn't, I will move away and I will take care of my body. And 9 times out of 10, my daughter would move into the connection because I would say, I really want to connect with you too. And if my body's being hit, I'm not going to be able to connect. So again, not a boundary. Let's talk about that. You need to stop talking to me like that. So that would be if a child is yelling at you or screaming at you or doing what you think is disrespectful. A boundary we often do is like, if you talk to me like that, I'm going to take something away, or you can't talk to me like that. Well, that is binding the external and acting as if you aren't able to take care of yourself. So let's talk about a healthy boundary if you were taking care of yourself. It would sound something like this. I'd like to be talked to differently because I'd really like to hear you. And if you're not able to, I'm going to step away. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take care of myself. Yes, so just take this in, because I'm not going to stand there and be talked to that way, because I don't want to treat myself that way, as if I, would stand and be talked to like that. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stand there and tell my kid what they need to do, what they can do, what they can't do, to punish them, to take away something from them that they love because they're treating me in a way I don't like. I am a capable adult, so I'm able to take care of myself. So let's talk about another one. So this would not be a boundary. You need to listen to me, right? So that is controlling the outside. Of course, you want to be listened to. So the healthy boundary might sound something like that. If I'm not listened to, I won't be able to do what you want. Right? So again, this is about me. And let's look at a boundary. It's not a demand or a threat. And often in parenting, we do that. We threaten the child. We demand that they treat a certain way, that we threaten if they do something that will take something away. No, a healthy boundary is what you do to take care of yourself when something comes up that you aren't okay with. Right? It's about how you treat yourself. It's not about trying to control the external. And I always like to use the metaphor of the rain, right? So let's say you want a sunny day and it starts raining. Well, you don't like the rain, right? But you don't go try to control the rain. You don't yell at the rain. You don't tell the rain what it's doing to you. You set a healthy boundary. You take care of yourself. You don't just stand out in the rain until it stops raining and it starts to sunshine. You either go inside, you put a raincoat on, you get your umbrella. So you're very clear when you aren't in control of something like the weather that it is your responsibility to set the healthy boundary to take care of yourself. Well, unfortunately, with children, we believe that we are in control, that we do have the power over. So we exercise that power instead of taking care of ourselves. Now, if you do this, please just be so kind to yourself, because we were really trained to do this. As I say, I was trained very early on to think that healthy boundaries were not okay, that it was rude, it was bad, it was wrong to take care of myself. So you may have this too. So if this kind of moves that furniture around in your brain, just know that this is really, really something that you get to examine. And again, don't take my word for it. Examine this inside and ask yourself, are you asking your child to take care of you, or are you willing to take care of yourself, which means you may have to feel selfish, abandoning, and rejecting of your child if you are willing to take care of yourself. But like we always say in Pure Joy, those are just feelings. That's not what you're doing. Taking care of yourself is something that you have to retrain yourself back. My teacher, Bruce Tiff, talks about being effectively selfish, that is really important to be able to show up for our children and not be in the position of wanting to bind them. So I'd love to hear from you. Check out Pure Joy Parenting, but also you can reach out to me at leslie@purejoyparenting.com and let me know, what's your take on boundaries? What's your questions? What would you like to know more about on this podcast? I'd love to hear from you. Stay in contact and have a beautiful, beautiful week. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.